Hello everyone and welcome back to the Great Book of Grudges. My name is Nathan and we're back with another Total War Warhammer video. We're kickstarting a new series on the channel, dedicated to what I believe are the best lore-friendly mods on the workshop at the moment for Total War Warhammer 2. The mods featured on this video will vary to some degree, whether it be single units, a character pack, or even a complete overhaul. Today we'll start off with the Empire, one of the first factions and races added into the series, and it kinda shows for it. They have indeed had a few DLC drops since their launch, however there's still quite a few things missing, and thankfully the modding community has stepped in to fill in those gaps, so let's not waste any more time and jump right in. The first mod in question is a single unit, the Celestial Hurricanum mod. Created by Chaos Robbie, the Celestial Hurricanum mod is a unit that was featured in 8th edition Warhammer Fantasy Battles for the Empire. A magical war machine unit which was similar in theory to that of the Luminarch of Hysh. The Celestial Hurricanum mod was able to fire from a relatively long distance, similar to that of the Luminarch. However, you didn't really want this war machine too far away from the actual battlefield, as its main benefits was the fact that it could buff up your forces. And you could also use it to further improve your winds of magic. The fact that this wasn't added in officially is strange to me, as this model was always fairly popular, and in my opinion serves a far greater purpose than that of the Imperial war wagons. And obviously in regards to cool factor, I mean, come on, it looks absolutely great. Our next mod is Imperial Navy. The Empire boasts a rather large navy, having commissioned a few massive fleets to protect their naval borders. Of course, actual naval battles are not featured in Total War Warhammer, however we do have access to naval-based factions such as the Vampire Coast, of which the Imperial Navy mod takes a lot of inspiration from it. With this mod you are granted a new type of generic lord choice. This is the Imperial Fleet Admiral, which will work drastically different to all other lords available in the Empire. The character has a bunch of unique skills focusing around its own unique playstyle, and will add towards an element of choice, which will allow you to decide on bonuses towards certain enemy factions. The Fleet Admiral itself is a pseudo-horde, very much so like the pseudo-hordes in the Vampire Coast. But what really sets apart this character is the fact that it has its own unique roster, nothing too big but extremely thematic, where it adds a completely new element of gameplay for the Empire factions. Our next mod is the Empire Reloaded, which of course is very well known, as Creative Assembly took some inspiration from how the mod worked into an official format. This mod adds in a bunch of dilemmas and incidents for the Empire players. You can already see a few of them on screen right now, and it also gets expanded upon by having some interesting events, like for example invading forces coming to attack you, spending some excess prestige on, say for example, income, deciding the fate of Marienburg, and so much more. It's not a big mod, but it does make everything feel a lot more thematic for the Empire. Our next mod is Swords of the Emperor, a character mod which adds in two rather well famously known humans in the Empire in the Warhammer Fantasy universe, and one lesser known character which was more of a footnote in the lore. One character, Kurt Helborg, is a legendary lord, which will allow you to lead an army of Reichsguard into the battlefield. Ludwig, the Emperor's banner bearer, is also available as a legendary hero, and with a sub-mod he's also able to carry the flag as is shown in this video. Hans is the footnote I was talking about, but the main two characters are extremely well known and have always been much requested to be officially implemented. Thankfully, popular characters such as these always find their way in the hands of modders. There are a few prerequisites to be able to recruit them, however it's nothing too drastic, and you should be able to recruit all of the characters with relative ease. Before we jump on to the last mod, we are going to cover an honorable mention. Of course, this honorable mention is Mixu's Legendary Lords. The only reason why this mod is an honorable mention is because this mod is going to feature on a lot of videos, as of course, Mixu's Legendary Lords is not specific to just the Empire, but instead covers a multitude of different races and factions. The reason why this mod is so popular is because it adds so much extra flavor to every single race and faction. It's important to note that many races still have a lack of legendary lords. The Empire is a very specific one at that, as obviously the Empire has a lot of different cultures within it, and many different characters which would really fit the Legendary Lord option. The grand majority of the characters added through this mod are of course elect accounts, so you will require a faction locker to be able to use them. This mod will give you a variety of different characters and start positions. Begin your campaign in Stirland and bring the vampires down to heal. Start off in Nordland and deal with the Norscan invaders. The choice is completely up to you, and it's something that I hope officially happens in the future. And now we've reached the last mod, Sigmar's Heirs, which is an absolute behemoth of a mod. I would say that Sigmar's Heirs turns the Empire into its proper representation in Warhammer Fantasy. Not only does this mod add in a bunch of different buildings and a lot of new units, it also focuses around a bunch of different cults within the Empire. Unfortunately, in Total War Warhammer, the Empire is very Sigmar specific, and there is not a lot of representation towards other gods, like for example Mor, Verena, Tal, Ulrich and more. This mod adds in a bunch of units inspired by the tabletop and the lore to make sure that if you want to have a bunch of different thematic armies which would be dedicated to their own specific gods, you are more than able to do so. What you may have also noticed is that Karl Franz's army had units known as Reichland crossbows, Reichland handgunners and so on. This is because a bunch of provincial specific areas have been added. This means that the state troop building built in Reichland will produce troops with the colours of Reichland. If you build a state troop building in Averland, then they'll have those lore-friendly colours. So if you wanted to recruit troops in a specific province, but also wanted to have those provincial colours rather than your current faction colours, you are more than able to do so. I can completely understand that newer players might feel such a mod to be very daunting. The element of choice in regards to different types of units is extremely massive. However, if you're a fan of the lore going back to many editions worth, or simply just want to be spoilt with an element of choice, well, this mod is absolutely fantastic for that. In truth, if you go back in the lore, then many races and factions in Warhammer Fantasy, which are available in Total War Warhammer, would have the capabilities of having rosters this large. We'll never see something this big in an official scale, because, well, it's just way too much, and I understand that Creative Assembly don't want to touch upon everything. But as always, we can always count on the modding community to step right in. Now, before we end this video, there's a few things that you need to note. All of these mods are linked in the description below, and bear in mind that some of those mods will also require submods. If the mods require submods themselves, you can find it on the right hand side of the mod page itself. But what do you guys think about my list regarding the top lore-friendly mods for the Empire? Are there any that I've missed or any that you would recommend? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and let's start a bit of a discussion. But with that, my friends, we've come to the end of our video. Thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy the video, might I suggest giving the video a like, or even subscribing to the channel, as it really does help us out. In the description section below are various links to different social media platforms such as Facebook, Instagram and Discord. Also in the description section is an affiliate link with Element Games where you could buy loads of hobby-based products, not just Warhammer, for 10 to 25% off. Making a purchase using that link and also our special code, which is also in the description, supports the channel at no extra cost to you, which we think is rather cool. A big thank you to our patrons. Your support means the world to us. It's amazing that people want to help a small channel like us grow and get to a higher level of content. A big thank you to Gibraltar LUSC, Ryan Bertsche, Andrew Prince and Okro for subscribing to us at our Fane level. You guys are super cool. And a big thank you to Edward Yule, VS Vasan, Aaron Whitman and Shaggy for subscribing to us at our King level. Honestly, we can't thank you all enough. And lastly, a big thank you to all of you for liking, sharing and commenting on these videos. Honestly, it's because of you guys that the channel's been growing at such a great pace lately, so we can't thank you all enough. But with that, my friends, thank you so much for watching once again, and we shall see you all again very, very soon. Have a good day.